Welcome to the Get Hooked podcast, companion piece for the 6-part documentary series exploring the health benefits of fishing and nature for everybody. This isn't your dad's fishing show. To kick off this brand new series, we have Amie Battams, aka Amie Flyfish, a UK fishing enthusiast and river protector, the brain behind the banger Brown Trout Song, and the fierce creator behind the YouTube video sensation Fishing Whilst Gay. Amie's hilarious and informative fishing content and social media handles can be found in the show notes. Disclaimer: fishing is obviously a very popular sport among men, but the world knows that. In this series, we're trying to shine a light on other humans' experiences with fishing in nature. That is not to leave men out of the conversation, no. To the men, we invite you to continue to make fishing and nature a safe space for anyone who has never seen themselves on the cover of a fishing magazine, and welcome. This episode of the Get Hooked podcast is produced by Bonevalt Inc. in association with AMI and OUTtv, and funded by the Bell Fund and Ontario Creates, and is hosted by actor, writer, and fishing-adjacent producer Heidi Lynch. That's me. Let's chat with Amie. Found you on the internet. Did that creep you out?
Lots of people find me on the internet. I find lots of people on the internet, so no.
The cast of Get Hooked introduced me to you on the internet, namely Demeisha, Emma, SJ, Vic, and Faye, because they all followed you and thought you were hilarious.
AKA legends.
Legends. Yeah, your content is so funny and also inspiring. And I did a deep dive of your Instagram, and I think the first fishy photo you posted was in 2020.
2020.
Yeah. So was it like a COVID safe activity situation?
It's before COVID. Went to a fishery. Guy gave me the rod. He caught a rainbow. I reeled it in. I was like, I'm going to go to my local and fish. And then this whole world opened up for me that I'd never seen. I'd never even seen a wild fish in the river. And the first time I see that, I was like, wow, if there's one, there's more than one. And yeah. And then from then, I've just been hooked.
I see what you did there. Thank you. I love it. The moment that I really wanted to make Get Hooked happened during COVID, where Faye and Vic and Emma and SJ, I think they had all gone fishing before in their lives up north and had gone together, but they really got into it because it was a COVID safe activity. And I had never really done it. But I was just being like the nice girlfriend and carrying all the bags and what helps kind of set up camp and then go get coffees. And I was being like this weird 1950s housewife. Well, they were all down to fish. And I wasn't. I was like, I'm going to sit. Why are we doing this? Why is it 4:00 in the morning? Why am I carrying bags? I was angry.
4:00 in the morning.
No, I was angry. Faye was really intense. She was like, we've got to go now. Because we were going to a stocked pond.
Yes.
Where everyone was fishing because it was COVID, and you had to get there to get your spot. And we got to this pond up north, and our friends are beautiful queer women, all wearing cool clothes and bright colors. And we showed up to this pond, and it was a sea of white northern men.
Camo wearing, don't forget.
Camo wearing.
Yeah.
We were not camoed at all. No. And we walked to the pond, and I had one eye open, and you felt this energy. You felt this what are they doing here energy. It wasn't super comfortable, but we trotted on and set up our stuff. And then throughout the day, as the women started catching fish, you could kind of feel the energy shift. And this guy was like, oh, what bait you using? Started cheering. And by the end of the day, I was literally like, is fishing going to save the world? It was really, really cool. And it, not everything needs to be a TV show. And I'm totally guilty of taking a hobby that my wife thought was cool and being like, if she thinks it's cool, other people will.
It's almost like a hidden gem. No one really thinks about it. I didn't really think about it until that day, that fateful moment. I had that rod, and I was like, actually, I could do this. I think if people see it, they'll think, actually, I could do this.
Yeah.
Don't have to be a rather large, bald man in camo.
And I also, from that, I was like, oh, if I think this is a cool idea, then a bunch of other people have already too. And Googling and trying to find queer female fishing shows, they were all Bob and Rick's big fish, big dudes, dudes, fish balls, whatever. And I was like, oh no, there really isn't a show like this. You wrote a letter. I think it was in May 2024. to the Fly Fishing Club, the Men's Fly Fishing Club.
Fly Fishers Club London.
Fly Fishers Club London, about how women were not able to become members. Just going to interrupt the interview to read out the letter that Amie wrote to the Fly Fishers Club to give you all of the context. Dear Mr. President, I hope this letter finds you well. As a dedicated fly angler based on the historic chalk stream of the River Wandle, I am deeply aware of its significance in the history of our sport. Many anglers are unaware of its influence on one of your notable members, F.M. Halford, who developed the false cast method there, thereby revolutionizing dry fly technique worldwide. This connection is a vital part of our angling heritage. I understand that the Fly Fishers Club, founded in 1884 as a gentleman's club for fly fishers, carries a prestigious legacy and an exclusive membership. However, it is disheartening that the club has not evolved to include women who share the same passion and can contribute to the sport's rich culture and history. The exclusion of women not only restricts access to valuable information and artifacts, but also contributes to the declining knowledge and participation levels in fly fishing, particularly among women. While I may never have the means to join your esteemed club, I am acutely aware that the UK boasts many remarkable female anglers whose skills and knowledge would significantly enhance the Fly Fishers Club. These women deserve the opportunity to be part of its historic institution. I urge you to reconsider the club's membership policies and open its doors to the other half of the population. Allowing women to become members will not only honor the club's heritage, but also ensure the preservation and advancement of fly fishing for future generations. Thank you for considering my perspective. I hope the Fly Fishers Club will embrace these changes for the betterment of the sport and its community. Yours sincerely, Amie Battams. I don't think I read that half as eloquently as she wrote it, but back to the interview. And I know you weren't the only female angler to do that, but I think it was like October of the same year where they voted and changed that. Yeah. Is that true?
And that now females can become members.
How did it feel being part of that trajectory of, I mean, I don't know how you feel, but I feel like there are so many things in the world where you can feel a barrier to access if you're from a certain group, and sometimes I give way to apathy and I'm like, oh, well.
Whatever, that's just the way it is sort of thing.
Yeah, but how did it feel to have like written the letter and then some change actually happened?
Yeah, really good. Really good. I'm sure the club would rather that it wasn't so public. They would have just denied it again and again and again. But I know that one day I'll be able to step in there and one day I'll be able to go in the library and have a look at all the stuff. Whereas if that rule was still in place, I wouldn't have that opportunity. So it's opened it up for someone like myself. So, which means it opens it up for future generations of young female fly fishers.
Hell yeah. I think that's very cool. Are you cool to run us a little bit through the process of making the video Fishing Whilst Gay? Just going to interject here and say that Fishing Whilst Gay is a comedy video on Amy's YouTube, Amie Flyfish, and it is linked in show notes and very funny. And just like you know, I forget where the man was from who's like in the boat with you.
Charlie Capola.
And like, what was his response when you reached out to him and were like, so I have this idea?
He was like, absolutely.
Yeah.
He went, come to Hanningfield Reservoir. He was like, we'll put the pride flag up, let's go. And I was like, all right. So we set a date and it was freezing and I had a stinking cold. And it's weird for them. Well, not weird because it's different for them because they film their own stuff like fishing challenges and, you know, it's very, very standard. Whereas I turned up and I was like, can I just use your bathroom? Went in like this, you know, and I went in my casual civilian clothes and came out dressed like Superwoman and they were like, wow. And I was like, I need to put this here. I need you to do this. Da, 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 da. And I was like, you know, give me 5 minutes. I've just got to go over here and mime a song that you're not going to hear. And they're basically watching me like dancing like a fool. Looking, and someone's kid was like, Mummy, there's Superwoman. They're like, can I get a photo? And I'm like, yeah, cool. But the guys were really up for it and they were fully supportive and they were a wonderful bunch and they let me loose on the boat.
Yeah.
So
that's so cool.
It was such a great day.
Yeah, it's a great video. A bit of a random question. I was just curious what your relationship is to the deaf community. And why you know BSL?
Work. So I'm a receptionist. One day a deaf lady came in and I was like, do you know what? instead of writing on pieces of paper, because not everybody can read and write,
Yeah.
I said maybe I could try and learn to sign. And I had a chat with my boss, and I said, "You got a training budget?" They said yes. I said thank you. And I, in the end, I'd love to say, I've really done it for the deaf community and but I didn't. I'd done it for my own improvement. I was like, well, work's got a training budget. I'm not educated. This is education. 3 years of evening classes, and I got to my level 3.
Amazing.
And it's the probably the highest qualification I've got in my life so far, and it was funded by my work. And yeah, I got a lot of help from the deaf community. And I do want to do interpreting, but it really does take a lot. You have to really integrate within the community.
Yeah.
It's having the time to do it whilst trying to do everything else. But yeah, work really helped me out, and so did the deaf community, especially the deaf club. If you want to learn sign, you can always go to Clapham Deaf Club. I think it's open on Wednesdays. You can Google it, and you can just go there, buy a cup of tea, learn sign with the deaf community.
I also think it is cool, though, that you took it another level and you didn't just use it at work, and you also have made videos implementing it. Because I just think it's, captions are cool. Yeah. But I think to see, if there's a fan of your Instagram account, if there's a queer, deaf, female, angling, passionate person, and they see that you used it as part of your creative force, I think that's very cool.
Messaged me. He was like, I can't believe you can sign. Let's message each other, sign in and stuff. And if I do get up to where he is, we'll fish together, and it'd be nice because obviously it's someone you can communicate with and fish with. I do want to do more videos. It's just having the time because I work Monday to Friday. But it has it that some members of the deaf community have seen it and they're like, yeah, that's what
you do not need to be an expert on this at all. I'm kind of looking for advice. As somebody who has created this fishing series where I have pre-interviewed.
Very brave.
It's
well
cool.
Done.
Isn't it cool? It's so
well
cool that the people that we've pre-interviewed for 2 years to make this show
2 years.
Are
2
phenomenal.
years.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I think of stuff in 10 minutes, and then I'm like, right, I'll get a weekend in and I'll see how much footage I can get and then just bam it all together.
No, but that is the way that content creation's going now. I applied for years to get budgets together to make this series. Shout out to the funders. But for 2 years, the people we have on screen, because they're not actors, right? I found them in these random fishing groups on the internet.
Yeah.
And initially the goal was to show representation of people from all walks of life using fishing and nature to help their mental health.
Oh.
Because it's this amazing resource that's prescribed by doctors, and it's just a good thing to be reminded of that, there's all different ways to treat things, but also we have natural resources, if we protect them, that we can go tap into, go stare at a tree, stare at some water, and how does that help your cortisol? Specifically for one of our anglers for episode 3, his name's Frank. He's an Indigenous addictions counselor, and he got sober because he saw some guy with an amazing fishing boat and was like, that's going to be me one day. That was his big aha moment. But he's a beautiful human being. And I put a post in this very male heavy fishing Facebook group and wrote, any men willing to talk about their mental health on a TV show, I'd love to chat with you. Because I knew that would weed out anyone I didn't want to put my partner and my best friends in a boat with.
You said Facebook group in fishing, just give me PTSD.
Yeah, I bet. I want to hear about that. But me saying any men who are comfortable talking about their mental health on a fishing doc series, email me here. And the people that I got, oh my God, just absolute gems. Frank being one of them. But these people, they are sharing their personal stories with me, and they've interviewed with me for 2 years. So I've developed this trust with them.
Yeah.
And we've got Rosie Jones, who's an amazing UK comedian, disabled. My friends are queer women or non-binary who are in the show. Demeisha Dennis from Brown Girl Outdoor World. There's amazing people who are part of marginalized communities, and I'm putting them on the internet with this show. And I was just curious because I saw your approach to dealing with one specific troll on Instagram who had slid into your DMs. But yeah, what is your advice? How do you deal with it? How do you let it roll off your back and just continue doing what you're doing? Like, what's your approach to when that happens?
It depends. If they're a business owner, it's going straight back out there onto the internet. You know, if they're in a professional capacity, because it also depends on what they've said. I've had so many.
Yeah.
And some of them make me feel a bit ill. Some of them have actually put me off the internet to the point where I'm like, I've just stayed away from it for like 2 months or whatever because it upset me. Now I'm like, I don't really look. I think I've changed my settings again. I'm not entirely sure. But had one guy message me. We was messaging and I thought it was all right. This is the thing about social media. I've said things online, I suppose, that sort of give off that I might be a bit laddish. I don't know. And people get really comfortable because they see what I've put out and they think that we're mates and that they can say stuff like about my wife or something, or because I'm a lesbian they can say something sexual about women, like
Ooh.
They messaged me and I was like, he was like, yeah, you going to the game fair? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to the game fair because it's like a sort of like cooking, hunting type game fair where loads of people go and look at guns and all this stuff. And he was like, he said about another female angler, he was like, oh, so-and-so's going, I bet you got a right wide on for her. And I was just like, excuse me? Like, core I would, and all that sort of thing. I was like, that's actually disgusting.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm married.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, well, I just thought, you know, because you like joke and all this, that and the other. And I'm like, when have I ever joked about anything like that? Like, I don't think I have.
It's an interesting thing. We talk about this in episode 6 a bit with Faye and Rosie. Because, you know, Faye got rid of Facebook at a certain point for a show that she did because was getting insane messages on the internet, rape threats, death threats, whatever, where people don't understand that it's fake. And as much as you put what is special about you into your Instagram videos, it's the internet. It's not real.
I'm trying to not be so controversial because of that.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that particular chap, like I said to him, like I really love my wife. It's very sacred, my marriage, and I don't really post about my wife apart from our wedding. Because I was like, yes, you know, I never thought I'd ever get married. But I actually bumped into the guy at an event, but I didn't know who he was because Instagram's so small. So I give him a hug. I hugged the enemy. Anyways, I'm like, oh, hello to everyone, whatever, da, 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 da. And then later on, I'm walking down the bank and he was like, oh, I just want to say sorry. And I was like, what for? And he was like, what, I messaged you. And I was like, which one are you?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm the one that said X, Y, and Z. And I was like, all right, fair enough, thanks for apologising. But like, we're not pals, just pass me by in it. Because that's it, like, I don't really go back for seconds. And he was like, oh, that's a bit unfair. And I was like, not really, it's my choice. So
it is your choice. It's this tricky thing because obviously, like, I'm just not going to engage with X at all with this show, but we do a social media launch and whatever, and that is not a platform that's a safe space. I don't know if there are any that are safe spaces now, but
as a man to go, do you know what she wants to see? My button mushroom, and then they take a picture of their bits and send it.
No, that's
I don't want to see your button mushroom.
No,
keep it to yourself.
We don't want your mushrooms.
I know I like mushrooms.
I do too. I cook with them frequently. I'm not opposed to foraging, just not for those. It's interesting. It's very interesting. It's a wild west, the internet, and about to get worse. But we're, you know, launching this show into the ether. And I feel very protective over everybody in this show. That's kind of where I'm coming from. And I am thrusting diversity into a very male-dominated space in the show, for sure.
The internet is full of shit. As far as I see, you get some horrible people that type nasty stuff. But in reality, when you actually fish, the people you come face to face with are lovely. Yeah. And you share that passion and you bond over that passion. And it is pure and beautiful. All right, you meet the odd wanker, but that's life in general anyway. So I just think whatever goes on internet-wise, you'll get your trolls, bots even. You have to ignore it because it's not real. Like, what you're doing will change people's lives. It's true, it does. Yeah. I've had messages from people to say thank you for putting out what you put out, blah, 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 blah. It makes a difference. You know, I think people need to see it. And even if they don't, you know, want to necessarily fish. Just like you said earlier, getting out in nature, seeing what's there, it really does calm you, you know.
Yeah. I think, it feels like it is the polar opposite of the internet universe. It's this space, and I don't fish myself, but I do accompany them. And I swim or get whatever sort of, thing that I need from nature in that moment, and hopefully give back something to nature too, and not only take.
Yeah.
But it is like the antithesis of this weird internet world we're living, where it's this space that just reminds me fundamentally I am not a robot.
You can get out of
I'm an animal. Yeah. Well, I really hope that you watch the show when it comes out.
Yeah, man.
And everyone is going to be very excited on the show that you are watching it.
Cool. Where's this going?
Thank you so much for asking, Amy. If you'd like to check out Get Hooked, the documentary series, which inspired this podcast, you can do that in Canada on AMI-tv, AMI+, and on OUTtv.com in Canada, the US, Australia, and New Zealand. You can get those through Apple TV and Amazon Prime. On OUTflix.com in the UK and Ireland, and on OUTflix via Allente in Sweden, Denmark, Norway, and Finland. Lastly, fish on, shoot on, or tree on. Whatever you do to get your nature kicks, just get outside and enjoy it. Thanks. And with that, I'm going to leave you with the banger that we teased at the beginning, the Brown Trout Song. Thank you again to Ontario Creates and Bell Fund.
So